everybody. We are so excited to welcome Captain Kate. Can you wave hello to her?
Not so much 80 boys, but it's saying like most of the people are boys, very little are girls.
It sounds like somebody needs to mute.
Miss Pagano, will you mute? Thank you.
All right, we are so excited to welcome Captain Kate. We did some research about her and watched some videos about you, so we kind of knew what we were getting into. These are pictures of me meeting you this summer with my family, and then this is our principal, Miss Valle, who dressed up like you on our STEAM Career Day recently. She was you for our STEAM Career Day, so I had to show you that.
I love it.
So I will let you take over and I'll turn my camera off. And I think the rest of us will turn our cameras off also. And then when you get done talking, we have a few students that have prepared questions for you.
All right, perfect. Well, good morning, everyone. I am coming to you from the Celebrity Edge. I brought a model of what my ship looks like. Of course, this is a much smaller version. We are a very large ship. We are in Cozumel, Mexico today. We arrived this morning. And for those of you that aren't familiar with cruises, basically it is a traveling destination. So I take the ship from point A to point B so that everyone can see the world via the ship and experience the places that we go to. This particular ship, we're sailing the Eastern and the Western Caribbean. So we're doing Mexico, we're doing Honduras, and the Bahamas. And as the captain, I am responsible for everyone on board. I'm responsible for keeping them safe, for keeping them healthy, and for keeping them happy. And of course, I can't do that by myself. I normally have a crew of 1,320 people on board, and we look after up to 2,900 guests each week. And we do this 7-day cruises, and we get into Florida. We let our guests go home, and then we take on new guests, and we go out for another 7 days. And we do that year round. Of course, I don't stay on board the ship year round. I do 3 months on board the ship, and then I go for vacation every 3 months. And it's just like all of you went for a summer vacation. I get to do that 3 months at a time, twice a year. So it's a pretty good deal. And I've been doing this now for 25 years, and I've been captain for the last 6 years, and this is my 3rd ship as captain. And I don't travel by myself. I always travel with my hairless cat, who has her own Instagram account, Bug Naked, and I will show you Bug a little bit later on into our presentation. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about our ship.
Awesome. Do you want us to start asking our questions?
Sure.
All right. So Jaden from Miss Owen's class is up first. So we'll turn on that camera and microphone, and he has a question for you.
Great.
Here he is.
Hi, Jaden.
Hey, Jaden, we can't hear you. Why don't we go to Riley and Miss Murphy's class while Jaden and Miss Potter figure out his microphone situation. Riley, are you ready?
Hi, Riley.
Hi.
We can hear you, Riley.
Oh, okay. Hi, Captain Kate. My name is Riley, and I'm in 3rd grade. My question is, how do you use maps and latitude and longitude to plan your routes? How do you know where you are when you're sailing. Does technology help with this?
Amazing question. I love that question. And yes, technology helps with that because back in the day when people used to sail, they had paper charts that were like paper maps. Now on all of our ships, everything is computerized. It's all digitized. And what they did is they took those paper charts, they scanned them, they put them in the computer, and now when we want to plan our voyages, we want to say we want to go from point A to point B, we put it in the computer and it will draw a red dotted line. And I can actually show you if I take my camera off. I hope this will make it over here. Let me see. If I turn this, you can kind of see this computer screen here. And if I zoom out, this is us in Mexico. And I'm going to zoom in just a sec. You can actually see. Come in a little bit closer. All right, and we're gonna go over here. You see this red dotted line? So this is actually the route that the ship will take. And now technology has made it so that we can let the computer do the steering, and it will keep us on top of that red dotted line 9 feet at all times. So yes, technology plays a huge part. Latitude and longitude, we use, you might be familiar with GPS, mom and dad, and in your car at home, you may use GPS for finding the store, or finding different locations around town. We do the same thing on board the ship using the GPS, which has latitude and longitude as part of the coordinates to make sure that you're ending up in the right place. And then the third thing is, if technology failed, because I'm sure, as we've seen today, sometimes computers can get a little funny. So this is one of the oldest pieces of equipment for seafarers. Sailors have been using this for hundreds of years. It's called a sextant. And what it is it's a device that we can use to capture a celestial body, which could be the sun, the moon, or the stars. And we can use this to bring that celestial body down to the horizon. We get coordinates, or we get a lot of math that we have to do in order to figure out where we are exactly on Earth's surface. So this old-time device can be used to do that. And we're all educated in it when we get our licenses to sail on the ships. We all know how to use the sextant. In the event that technology were to fail, we would still be able to find where we are on Earth's surface.
Thank you. What a fascinating answer. I think Jaden is ready now.
Hi again, Jaden.
Hey, Jaden, we can't hear you. Are you able to pop over to Miss Murphy's room since hers was working so well just a second ago? And we can go to Phoenix in Miss Pagano's class. Phoenix, are you ready?
Oh, there we go. Okay.
There he is. Hi, Phoenix.
Hi.
Hi, Phoenix.
Hi, Captain Kate. My name is Phoenix, and I'm in third grade. My question is, how do you use fine arts in your job?
That is an excellent question, Phoenix. Fine arts in our job. So my job in particular can be very technical, but of course we are on basically a floating city that is it feels like a boutique hotel meets a cruise ship. So when it comes to fine arts, we have incredible art on board our ship. I brought some pictures actually to show. This is it's an entire sailing ship made out of pearl necklaces. We have a gigantic life-size horse on our top deck, and this was actually designed, the artist right here is the great-great-granddaughter of Charles Dickens, the gentleman who wrote A Christmas Carol, which I'm sure you read around Christmas time. We have life-size wooden people around the ship. The art on board is worth millions and millions of dollars, but it's one of the best attributes of this ship that make it really special and unique, to be surrounded by these fine arts. I was asking my bridge team this morning after we arrived in Cozumel, we do the maneuvers ourselves, which means we bring the ship alongside the pier and we take the ship off the pier. And when I asked them about what they thought fine arts was associated with cruise ships, they said the way that we maneuver the ship and the way that we can make perfect circles with the ship out in the middle of the water, and the way that we come alongside the pier, to them that was their idea of fine art. And I know that's not a very conventional idea, but I would say for the most part we have incredible art on board. We also have an art gallery, so we have some pieces from Picasso, and the guest can also buy the art when they come on board the ship. But I think to have the idea that a cruise ship is this hotel, the ship, but also like a museum, and the pieces that we have surrounding us every day makes it really unique.
Can you also tell us a little bit about the performing arts? Because I know that is such a huge part of.
Oh,
so
how did I miss that? Thank you so much. Absolutely. So we have a theater, and on board the ship we have a cast, which is our singers, our dancers, our aerialists, and our specialty acts. And these are people that are hired through Celebrity Cruises. They go into the largest performing studio in the US that has been specifically made to acquaint the performers before they ever get onto the ship. And that's where they train together, and they design the shows, they get their costumes outfitted, and then they come on board the ship and they will do shows in our theater. Our production cast does 3 different shows during a 7-day cruise. It's the singing, the dancing, and then these specialty acts. And then we also have guest entertainers that come on board the ship. So they're singers, dancers, musicians, jugglers, and they will do nightly shows for our guests in the main theater. And they usually rotate on a 2-week basis. So every 2 weeks we get new specialty acts from outside coming on board the ship. So I can kind of liken it to if you went to Las Vegas, which I don't know if you're old enough to go to Vegas, but when you do, the production shows that you would see in Vegas rival the production shows that we can have on board our ship 24/7, 365 days a year.
thank you. I loved seeing the art and the shows when I was on board. Are we ready for Jaden?
Hi, Captain Kate.
Hi, Jaden.
I'm in 3rd grade, and my question is, what do you do to manage waste and pollution on your ship? How do you make sure waste and pollution are not causing problems to animal habitats where you sail?
Love that question, Jaden. Thank you so much. The environment is our livelihood, and we will do everything we can to protect the ocean, because if the ocean is someplace that we can't sail, then we don't have ships, we don't have our business. One of the things that I'm really proud about with Celebrity Cruises is minimizing the impact on the environment by reducing single-use plastics. For example, this is one of our aluminum water bottles. So we've replaced the plastic water bottles with aluminum water bottles. We've replaced all of the plastic straws with paper straws, and the stir sticks are now wooden. All of the amenities in our bathrooms, in our guest staterooms, we've gone from the small packets of shampoo and conditioner and soap to the bulk amenities, so that we're not using the plastic when we're going through the shampoos, conditioners, and soap. Even in our restaurants and our buffet upstairs, we've gotten rid of the single packets of ketchup and mustard and mayonnaise, and again, gone for these bulk products that will save us from single-use plastic. Everything that we can gets recycled on board the ship. So anything that goes into the trash gets separated depending on what it is. Paper goes to paper, plastic off to plastic, glass gets crushed and recycled that way. All of the paper will go into the incinerator, and even the food. When we have leftover food, which we don't have a huge amount because it's pretty much down to a science how much guests will eat and crew will eat in a given 7 days. So we've minimized the waste with the food because we've been able to track the trends of what people eat and how much they eat. But when we do have leftover food, it goes through a pulper system, which is kind of like a garbage disposal. Before it goes into the pulper, we make sure there's no paper, no plastic, no aluminum, no forks, knives, or spoons. There's nothing but food that's going into this garbage disposal. And it goes through a process, and then that gets pumped over the side, which in turn feeds the fish, and then the fish can continue to thrive. When it comes to wastewater, we have a system on board where after we've used the water, if it's from the sinks and from the showers, for example, it will go into these gray water holding tanks where it gets treated. And after it's treated, the water is so clean that it gets pumped over the side, but the water is so clean you could actually drink it. So we're basically putting fresh water back into the ocean. When it's water from the toilets, we call that black water. And that goes through our piping system into advanced wastewater purification plants. And what those plants do is they separate the solids from the liquids. The solids go off and get dehydrated, and the end product looks like, for lack of a better description, a brown hockey puck. That brown hockey puck gets incinerated. Now the liquid from those black water tanks, that goes through the same purification process as the gray water, and in the end result, that water that's clean enough to drink goes back into the ocean. And we make our own water on board the ship. We don't get to port and then fuel up on water. We can actually make our own water from the seawater. We have these giant holes on the side of the ship. They're located about, if I put here, they're located around here and here. And we take seawater in, and then basically we can remove the salt from that seawater and use that fresh water within the ship. That's the water that goes into the toilets, the sinks, and the galleys, which are the kitchens around the ship.
Wow, that is fascinating. There's a lot that goes into it. I think we're ready for 4th grade to ask their questions now, and we're starting with Guadalupe from Miss LaShane's class.
Hi, Captain Kate. My name is Guadalupe, and I'm in 4th grade. My question is, how do the stars, the sun, and moon help you as a cruise ship captain?
Perfect. Good morning, Guadalupe. So that's where this sextant comes back into play. Now, the thing about using a sextant to find your position is you have to be able to see 2 things. One is a celestial body. So you either have to be able to see the sun, the moon, or the stars. And you also have to be able to see the horizon. If you don't have both of those, then you basically have to wait for the clouds to clear or for the horizon to clear before you could ever use this for navigation to find your place on Earth's surface. So as good as this system is, it's not flawless, because if it's cloudy, if it's overcast, if it's raining, then you can't get the sun, the moon, the stars, and that makes it very difficult to do the celestial navigation.
Thank you. Next, we have Aria from Miss Smith's class.
Hi, Captain Kate. My name is Aria and I'm in 4th grade. My question is, what do you have to know about weather to do your job?
Love that question. Right now, it's hurricane season in the Caribbean where we're sailing. And one of the questions we get asked all the time is, if a hurricane's coming, what do you do? And that's the beautiful thing about being on a ship, because you can always be mobile. You can move out of the way. And what we have is a weather forecasting station that's specific to our company located in Miami. So they're keeping an eye on all the weather systems around the world where our ships are based. And if something's coming up, for example, like a hurricane, then they give us a heads up, along with us constantly monitoring weather forecasts for our intended routes. But the shoreside department in Miami, we will have discussions about whether or not we need to change our itinerary, maybe shift some of the port calls around in order for us to avoid the worst weather. And this is something that has evolved over the years. And it's worked really, really well. So when people wonder about going on a ship, specifically if they get seasick, if you're riding in the car and you get car sick, some people worry, if I go to sea, will I get seasick if the weather is really rough? But the great thing is, because of our weather forecasting stations and systems that we have in place, we can plan our routes to avoid the worst weather. And we try to make sure that everyone sails in good weather and has a good time. On a side note, my cat, she gets seasick, so I want to make sure that she doesn't get sick. So we always take the best route, the smoothest route that we can. There's also something when it comes to the comfort of the ship. You might look at this and say that bow, the front of the ship, looks different than normal ships. And that's because this is called a parabolic ultra bow. On traditional ships, a bow looks like this. It points forward and it slopes down. But because of the design of this particular bow, the ship is smoother, it's safer, and it's a much more pleasant ride than any of the ships I've ever sailed on before. So parabolic ultra bow right there. But that's basically our weather.
Thank you. Next, we have Victoria.
Hi, Captain Kate. My name is Victoria and I'm in 4th grade. My question is, what other examples of fine arts careers do workers do on cruise ships?
On the ship. So thank you for mentioning the theater and the production cast that we have. When it comes to fine arts, I think everyone here, we have with the 1,320 crew members, everybody brings a bit of fine arts into their position. And what I mean by that is we have, with this 1,320 crew members, the people that we have working on board come from 70 different nationalities. And some of them were doctors back in their home countries. Some of them were artists in their own country. And I want to show you something. We have a butler, so a gentleman that's in our housekeeping department, and he is looking after our guest. He is an artist back home, and he did this drawing of my cat in about 20 minutes. And it's really neat when you come on ships, because what people do for their jobs isn't necessarily what their passion is, or what they're really, really talented in. So when they are able to merge those two things, for example, this butler, he'll go into someone's stateroom and he'll see, for example, a guest had a ratatouille, the mouse, stuffed animal, and Getty was able to draw that and give it to the guest. And that was, to me, that's bringing fine arts through a passion that's not particular to your career, but it really adds something special. And when you have so many people from so many different nationalities under one roof, you find that everyone has something that really sets them apart and makes them special. And it's a really unique place to be.
I also thought all of the chefs and the food that I saw when I was on board was like art, especially in Eden.
Yes.
And it looks like Miss Valle
Yes.
asking, do you do the towel folding?
This is something from Eden. This is one of the chocolate orbs that breaks open to inside is dessert. And yes, absolutely. Oh, here's another one from Eden up at the top here. It kind of looks like a garden. So yes, what the chefs are able to do with food, not only to make it look good, but to taste amazing, big kudos.
It was amazing. I think we're ready for 5th grade, and we're starting with Caleb from Miss Hernandez's class.
My name is Caleb and I'm in 5th grade. And how do you use EDP while building your ships or the engineering design process?
I love this question. So this particular ship, the Celebrity Edge, was the first cruise ship to be designed in 3D. We have a lab. It's called the Cave, which is located in Miami. It's attached to our office. And in the Cave, they are able to do 3D projections of any area on board this ship. So before the first piece of steel was put into the Celebrity Edge, the management and our company already knew what every single corner of the ship was going to look like because they saw it in 3D. And the advantage of that is, for example, the theater. When they went into the theater and they looked around in this 3D cave, they were able to say, maybe we should change the lighting here. The seats should probably be purple, not orange. Maybe the carpet should be green, not yellow. And they were able to design the ship completely in 3D without wasting money on changing design after the fact because they were able to see it in 3D. So this is the first ship that was designed that way. Quite a few ships since 2018, when the Celebrity Edge came out, have also used this lab technology with our company, Celebrity Cruises, and our mother brand, which is Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. It's a great question.
Thank you. Next is Trista from Miss Strayhern's class.
Right at my laptop.
Hi, Captain
Hi,
Kate.
Trista.
My name is Trista and I'm in 5th grade. My question is, how does electricity work on your ship? Do you have generators?
Excellent question. We, I actually called the chief engineer I'm married to a chief engineer. He's not the one on board, but I called him because he has kids and I said, how did you explain the generators and energy to your sons? He has 2 sons. And the way he explained it was, we convert mechanical energy into electrical energy. And we create our own on board using rotating magnets. Now that can get very complex, but basically what we do is we collect the energy that we create on board. And then if you think about, it's in a lake. We collect energy in a big lake, and there are farms around the lake, which are different areas of the ship that require electricity. Now, depending on how much electricity they require, we open these channels to those farms from the lake, and basically the lake will supply through those channels to the farm. Now, whichever areas, for example, if we have more air conditioning needs than we have lighting needs, these channels will adjust accordingly to supply the right amounts of electricity from the lake to those farms to make sure that we are constantly operating with electricity. If something were to happen, for example, if you've heard of a blackout, that's where we lose all electricity. We have emergency generators that are basically lakes on the side with that stored energy that will kick in and be able to supply the ship so that we don't stay in a blackout condition for long periods of time. So we have backups just in case the big lake gets disconnected.
Great question. Next, our last 5th grade question is Jackson from Miss Clark's class.
Switch with me. Camera's there.
Hi, Captain Kate. My name is Jackson. I'm in 5th grade. My question is, how do you use math as a cruise ship captain?
Great question, Jackson. When I graduated from school, we had to do everything by hand, no calculators for math. Math plays a big part, especially in navigation, when you're trying to find your location on Earth's surface. As a captain of a cruise ship, though, I use math on a daily basis because as the CEO, as the head honcho, you're running a business, and this ship is a $1.2 billion ship, and everything in it is a business, whether it's the booking, so getting people coming on board, to the shops, the restaurants, the casino, the spa. All of those are revenue areas which generate money on board the ship. They're their own business within a business. And math comes into play because you have to think about, at the end of the day, you're making money for your business, and obviously you have to know about math. When it comes to each department, we use math in a different way. Like I mentioned with the navigation, we would use math to calculate our speed to get to the next port of call. We'd use it from the engineering standpoint to make sure that we're fuel efficient, and when we need to bunker, that we're getting the right amount of fuel on board. So every department uses math differently, but I use math predominantly in my position as a business, and to make sure that obviously we are a successful business, making money, and making sure that we're getting to the right place.
Thank you. I have a question. I know you have strong opinions about this. I don't know if it's on your name tag today, but in reading, we learn a lot about comparing and contrasting. And I feel like you maybe want to tell us the difference between a ship and a boat.
Perfect. And yes, you are correct. My name tag says, please don't call it a boat. And the reason that it does is because boats and ships, basically, you can put a boat on a ship. These are our lifeboats. All of these little orange dots right here, these are our lifeboats on board. You can put a boat on a ship, but you can't put a ship on a boat. So that's the general definition that I use between. There's also a stability aspect to it. So for example, when a ship is cruising through the water, if we were to turn, the ship will actually move away from the turn. On a boat, if this was a boat, when you turn, the boat will actually lean into the turn. So there's a stability aspect of it. And I always say that size matters. So if you're in doubt, if it's big, call it a ship.
Thank you. I think that's all of our questions. Miss Valle, do you have any questions?
Do you guys want to see Bug?
Yes.
Let me grab her real quick.
Yes, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Bug is Captain Kate's cat. She has to be away from her family for long periods of time, like she said, 3 months. But since she is the captain, she's allowed to bring a pet.
This is Bug. Can you say good morning?
Good morning.
Bug,
Good morning, Bug.
Bug has no hair. Say hi, everybody. She's like, why did you wake me up from my nap? How you doing, sport? Yeah? Can you say hi to all the kids? Yeah. Bug has 72 different outfits because she's naked. So.
Very good. So why a naked cat on board? Why is that healthy?
You know, I'm a big fan of social media. I use social media, one, to try and get people interested in going to sea, because honestly, this is the greatest career you could ever imagine. Traveling the world, meeting amazing people, having lots of time off. And so when it comes to social media, trying to put that out there, and I was just scrolling through Instagram after I'd become a captain. And as you mentioned, you're away from your family 3 months at a time. My family can come sail with me, but because my husband also works on ships, he's not with me all the time. So after my first contract, I figured out being the top can kind of get a little lonely. And so I asked our office if I could have a pet, and they said no. And then I reminded them that on other ships, I know of a captain that has a parrot, I know of a captain that has 2 cats, and then another captain that has a dog. So when I brought that up, they said, oh, okay, well, you can have a pet. What would you like? And I said, I think I'll get a monkey. And they said, no, maybe not a monkey. But I was scrolling through Instagram and I came across Sphinx cats, these hairless breeds. And she was just honestly the ugliest thing I'd ever seen. And I got a bit obsessed. But now she's my new normal. When I see a cat with fur, it kind of is weird, huh? It's weird, right? But it is nice because if you're allergic to cat's fur, then you're not allergic to her, which makes it easier to travel. But if you are allergic to cat dander, unfortunately, she still has dander. But she's my world. Last year, we were on the ship for 318 days straight, and having her around really meant that I had family around all the time. So she's excited when I come home, not as excited as a dog, but she still is excited, and it means the world to be able to have her on board with me. And she has her own Instagram too, with about 55,000 followers. So she's doing her own thing.
I follow Bug.
Does Bug swim? Does she like the water?
She loves the water. In fact, I have to be careful because she gets a bath every 2 days. And when I fill up the bathtub, if I'm not watching, she'll go in to the tub and start pulling all of her toys in. So it's a bit strange that cats like water, but she is a very different kind of cat.
That's cool. I have one last question. So on cruises, other than the water and the places I visit, I love being able to see the stars. Because of light pollution and other pollution, I can't see the stars at night here like I did as a child, like my memory of stars. So since you saw the Caribbean, what do you think is the best place to visit or cruise between islands to see the stars, the most stars, maybe even be able to pick out the Milky Way galaxy at night?
You know, so we are in port during the day. Usually we take off around 5 o'clock in the afternoon and start sailing 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So we're always sailing at nighttime. And we're usually anywhere from 50 to, on average, 100 miles offshore. So all of these give you a great opportunity to see the stars at night. And I have to say, last year when we were out of service, the ships weren't sailing, obviously. We didn't have guests on board. We were in a lockdown, and we were sitting at anchor off of the Bahamas, about 14 miles off of Royal Caribbean's private island. And the stars in the night that you could see was spectacular. But not only that, I made a video last June of something really unusual. People always ask, what's the strangest thing you've seen at sea? And I swear we saw a UFO. It was, and there's a video on my TikTok, and I've also put it on my Instagram, this giant black, it looked like a jellyfish, floated down the center of the ship. It started right at the bow, and it's floated right between the ship's stack, past the ship's stern, and as the sun had already set, it started to descend into the water. It made no noise. It wasn't a drone. There was no one else around. We're in the middle of the ocean. So that was one of the most unusual things, and to date has never been explained. But any itinerary that we have where we're sailing at night is a good opportunity to be able to see the stars. And we have areas on the ship where you can go that are nice and dark so that you can take that in.
So it sounds like you have a lot of expertise in science, technology, arts, engineering, and math. So if we have inspired any of our students to be a cruise ship captain or an officer or a fine arts career or a chef on a ship, what kind of education did you need to get this job, and what should they be planning for?
Fabulous question. I went to a California Maritime Academy, which is part of the Cal State University system. It's a regular 4-year university, regular 4-year college. And while I was taking my business administration courses for my major, I was also taking these seamanship courses so that I would be able to go to sea when I graduated. And there are different maritime academies around the U.S. There are most of them are on the East Coast. There's one on the West Coast where I went, California, and there's one in Texas. But they're very specialized, and they also give you, this additional background, for example, the business administration background. But I would say when it comes to STEAM, the best chance you have is to have a little bit of experience in all of those categories, science, technology, engineering, math, and arts. If you have a bit of all of that, you're already starting off on a really good foot. Of course, if you are stronger in one area than the other, there are many opportunities on ships, on cruise ships in particular, where you can really use those talents. And a lot of times when you go into it, what you think you're going to follow, or the path that you're going to follow, may lead you to something completely different, because there are so many different jobs on board ships and there's so many different things that you can do. A lot of times people will actually transfer between departments because they found a passion in something else that they could do on board using one of those strengths in the STEAM. But all of the STEAM categories, very, very important.
Thank you so much. I think that's it for us. Can we turn on our cameras and tell Captain Kate thank you?
Yes, thank you so much on behalf of Oak Grove Elementary STEAM Academy. Yay, y'all smile. I noticed when they ask questions, a lot of them smile. So show them your beautiful smiles now. We have the best looking kids on the planet.
We do.
Yes, you do. And I hope we've got some future captains in that group. I would love to see you at sea.
Yes, I think we do. All right. Thanks,
Excellent.
everybody. I think you can start leaving the meeting.
Have a great day, everyone.
I'm going to stop recording.